The Soviet Union built 4 nuclear reactors in 1977. The fourth is primarily the one held in question, and essentially responsible for engraving a deep irreversible mark in history, and ultimately led to the downfall of said Soviet Union, and not to mention dramatically impacted lives including humans, wildlife and nature. Although at one point in time, a nuclear power plant in Ukraine's city of Chernobyl presented no obvious outward harm, anything nuclear related always harnesses potential risk. Unfortunately, that risk would turn into a full-blown reality on April 26, 1986. They say time is healing, and although in some instances that rings true, with the incident of Chernobyl, even with time, unfortunately the city and neighbouring regions still suffer the impacts that took place that day. Upon investigation, the disastrous accident occurred as a result of a test gone wrong. Workers were testing the cooling and electrical mechanisms of the 4th nuclear reactor, or Chernobyl 4 reactor as it was formerly called. The objective was to see if in the event of a power shutdown if the reactor could still be successfully cooled. Plans went entirely awry, as there was an unexpected and unanticipated power surge. Workers desperately tried to stifle the power surge in efforts to deactivate and shut it down, but it was too late. Another power surge within the reactor already had its gears in motion, causing explosions within the reactor's makeup, all the way to its nuclear center, which served to be the most detrimental of all. Once the nuclear core was exposed, radioactive material freely escaped, wreaking havoc into the atmosphere. It was chaos. As far as when things will get back to normal in Chernobyl, that is still a question that is relatively still up in the air. It's estimated that the area and neighbouring regions will still be in cleanup efforts for many decades. Scientists have even gone to the extent of predicting that the region and neighbouring regions deemed as exclusion zones will not be safe to inhabit for a bold and hefty 20,000 years. However, with that said, it's not to say that people are not currently inhabiting those regions. Some have returned to their old family homes to resume the farm life they once lived as children, before the catastrophe at Chernobyl. That primarily applies to the elderly. However, families who are fleeing crises or conflicting situations have also been attracted to the area, and this is due to the highly affordable land. In recent years, mysterious discoveries have been made in and around the exclusion zone, and one of these is the reports of mysterious flying crafts. People who worked in Chernobyl would report seeing mysterious flying crafts above the nuclear plant, noting that they looked nothing like traditional planes or helicopters, and would hover above them motionless as if they were inspecting the area. They would do this for several minutes before making a quick exit. Interestingly, this was even documented by a few employees, but it's reported that officials brushed the sightings aside, with others saying that this often happens when mysterious crafts are sighted above nuclear plants. Interestingly, Mikhail Varosky, who was working for the Radiation Control Department, said on the same day as the disaster, he and several other colleagues would witness a mysterious craft hovering above reactor number 4, almost as if inspecting it. His story isn't very well known, but he details his encounter with UFOs. He said the following: "We saw a ball of fire, and it was slowly flying in the sky. I think the ball was 6 or 8 meters in diameter. Then we saw 2 rays of crimson light stretching towards the 4th unit. The object was some 300 meters from the reactor. The event lasted for around 3 minutes. The lights of the object went out and flew away in the northwestern direction." End quote. Incredibly, he goes on to detail that the radiation levels in the area dropped, going on to say the following: "The UFO brought the radiation levels down. The level decreased almost 4 times. This probably prevented a nuclear blast." End quote. This has caused some UFO researchers to suggest that the craft was actually trying to help us. Various military personnel have come forward and said that when tests are being carried out, it's not uncommon to see UFOs in the region, going on to say that it's almost like they're watching what we're doing. These crafts have also been seen close to things like missiles, and back in 1964, former US Air Force Robert Jacobs was in charge of photo instruments. His mission was to film an Atlas rocket during his flight. When he heard liftoff, he started the cameras. He said he could see all 3 stages of the rocket. Thinking that everything was fine, he then took the cans of film to get them developed. He was then ordered to go to the office of one of the majors. There he was told to sit down and listen carefully to what they was about to say. He turned on the film projector and showed him the launch. As the Atlas missile entered the frame, he was told that it was travelling between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour. However, the cameras then picked up a saucer-shaped craft that came into frame. Robert Jacobs said the following about the incident. It flew into the frame and shot a beam of light at the warhead. Remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. This thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. The warhead then tumbles out of space. When the lights came on, Major Management said, "Were you guys messing around up there?" And I said no. He asked what that was, and I said, "I think we have a UFO." End quote. Another report from within the exclusion zones is that of apparitions. Those who have spent a long period of time within Chernobyl have often reported seeing mysterious figures in the corner of their eyes, only to notice that they vanish when they try to focus on them. In fact, explorers have often said that when one of these apparitions is close by, the level of radiation spikes on the Geiger counter. Others have said that around the building, shadow people can often be sighted, with some theories suggesting that these may be the people that lost their homes and that returned to the exclusion zone after their passing. Shadow people have long been reported by individuals across the planet, and interestingly, many of their stories match up, with eyewitnesses describing humanoid black masses that have the ability to go through walls and interact with things around them. There's many who have said that this is an old phenomenon, and it's only been in recent years that people have started to open up about their encounters. It's not known what they are. Scientists have said that a likely answer is that of pareidolia, while believers have said these entities are definitely real, and that they're often seen around areas where there's been some type of tragedy. Another idea that's starting to gain traction is that these shadow people may actually be individuals who are having an out-of-body experience. Regardless of what you call them or what you think they are, sightings of them is still being reported in the modern day, with us no closer to understanding what or where these entities are coming from. There's many areas around Chernobyl that are out of bounds, but tours can be arranged if you want to see some of the nearby areas. Many have done this in order to explore what's been left, and one of the things you'll likely run into during your visit is that of children's dolls and children's toys, with them now being completely covered in the radioactive dust and soot. This has left the town with the appearance of being completely frozen in time, same as on the day of the evacuation, and a perfect recreation of the 1980s during the rule of the Soviet Union, with Soviet propaganda and toys of that era littered throughout the area. Something else that can be found within the exclusion zone is that of the giant claw. It was one of the machines that was used to help clean up the area shortly after the event. However, due to its high levels of radiation, it's been left to rot. The claw is still very radioactive, and researchers have said that it can't be touched by those who visit the region. In fact, private guards have said that it's not a good idea to even get close to it, as it could cause harm to the human body. The average background radiation is around 0.16, and the claw measures in at over 39. To put that into perspective, 10 or higher could cause death within hours, which is why tour guides have told people to not go near it. A physicist at the University of Portsmouth said that by 2065, Chernobyl would have caused around 16,000 cases of thyroid cancer and 25,000 cases of other cancers. However, other researchers have said that the amount is much higher than this. So what do you make of these mysterious discoveries surrounding Chernobyl? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.